All right. And we still got lag. Oh my god. Updated the router, y'all. I, don't, I guess next step is to get a new laptop. We'll figure it out. But I updated the router, and for some reason, I still got lag. Uh, it's all right. Welcome to This and That, ladies and gentlemen. How y'all? I'm your host, Xander, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. Um, Today, a little bit of a curve. Yesterday, we talked about investment opportunities, low risk investment opportunities. Before that, yesterday we actually talked about the castration thing where they were cutting men's junk off, and the day before that we were talking about uh, investment opportunities, and then also we were talking about the day before that some of the ways that we could improve our ability to get good paying jobs with little to no skill, or some of those higher paying jobs that require a lot of education as well as years of experience. And we kind of lean towards some real estate stuff. We're going to be talking to you about some real estate related stuff down the line as we switch through our topics throughout the month of September. As you can see, we kind of got all of September and the first week of October uh, glazed over. So it's going to be fantastic of a week. I really hope that you guys like and subscribe, potentially join the membership, and we're going to be rolling into a lot of different areas. We just want you guys to understand, if you jump onto the membership, you got some membership discounts for our this and that memorabilia, and we also have a few thousand affiliate items that we're throwing our support on. So if you're looking at us from YouTube, you'll see a lot of this stuff going across the screen. So if you're looking at us through TikTok, you're probably not going to see those YouTube item drops, but you can click on the bottom right hand screen. You can click the like button or click that subscription button. It'll take you over to YouTube where you can subscribe, and then you'll be able to see all the cool stuff we got going on the platform, and still bounce back over to TikTok and still be back a part of the show. Also, while I got you guys on it, for those of you that are on Twitch, we really appreciate you guys showing us love, Twitch and Twitter. Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube. If you guys have some information you want to share about the topics of discussion for today, you have the opportunity to be able to click the link in the comments section and be able to approve the mic and approve the camera, and then jump onto the show live and have in-person conversation with us in real time. Uh, the guys over on TikTok side, though, we've got the multi-guest option I'm activating right now. So if you guys want to dive into the podcast live, give some what's up, some special shout outs or whatever, as long as it's appropriate, or engage into the topic, you'll be able to dive in as it is active. And then just remember that we are live 7 days a week, 9 Eastern, 8 5 Pacific. Today I was actually updating the TikTok studio, and then TikTok studio did such a massive update that it made me have to re-log in everything manually. So Lord, you know that downloading on a PC is nothing like downloading on a Mac. It took a few minutes. So instead of us kicking off at 8 o'clock on the dot, I'm sitting here looking 5 minutes after, like, how long is this thing gonna load? But got it up there, got it working. We're here. So let's go ahead and get started. We are talking on today's topic of discussion is creating constructive dialogue. So we're looking at how to really listen in an argument and then be able to respond appropriately in an argument. And I know that this is going to spiral down sideways pretty quickly, but that is fine. Look at that picture in picture. For some reason, there it is. I thought it was going to catch up. Got a little bit of lag. I tell you what, hold on, guys. Before I move forward, let me see if I can turn off a few of these 200 browsers that I have open on my desktop, and that might increase the mobility of our live stream. Yeah, I have a few hundred tabs open between three different Gmails that are all tied to business and Some of it is even entirely neither here nor there. I'm shutting all of them down right now. Let's see if that'll increase our quality. And let's get our live screen back. There it is. And whoop, there we go. Look at that from before I started turning everything off. All right. So, and it caught up. Woo. All right. I tell you, once I get that stream key, oh, hey, look, if you guys are following me over here on TikTok, y'all should just hit that follow button to help a brother out so I can get me a stream key. That way I don't have to deal with all these complications, because then if I was streaming everything from one location, y'all will all be getting it glitch free, because I am actually streaming from 2 different platforms on the same device right now. And do you know how difficult that is? This picture in picture is really requiring a lot of power from this computer. I'm going to have to get a bigger computer. That is why I keep encouraging people to throw us some love. Oh, speaking of love, you guys can give us those diamonds and pretty coins and whatnot from TikTok. You guys can do the same on Twitch. And there are super likes, super emojis, super comments, and special thanks donation options that you can give us on YouTube to help pay for the platform, give us better quality connectivity, and give you guys a better show with a lot more options, a lot more features. So kicking it off, I said I was going to start talking to you guys about better communication. Who else but a guy who talks a lot? In an argument, it's harder to have better communication. Okay, Mr. AP. That's the real AP right there. So it is hard to be able to focus on positive dialogue in an argument, because typically anger is flaring up on both sides and frustration is there. And a lot of the times we kind of lose focus and connection as to the core purpose of the original discussion. Now, we tend to be a little bit more professional with people that we don't have emotional attachments to, but the people that we have emotional attachments to, it's a lot harder for us to express what we think and how we feel without being really pissed off, without yelling and fussing and cussing, talking over one another and not having the capability to listen. And it's really hard to understand what the problem is, or address a problem when you understand what the problem is, when you're not listening to the other person. Because a lot of times the breakdown in communication stems from both parties not listening to each other. Not just one person not listening to the other person. Both parties are not listening to the other person. And one of the things, I've said this in a few of our shows when we started talking about communication and arguments, is like, get you a pen and paper and like write down some of the stuff that while they're talking to you, you write down. But you got to be careful, because there are certain people where if you take your eyes off of them, they're going to feel like you're ignoring them, and then they're going to snatch the notepad out of your hand. It really depends on the humbleness of the person that you're talking with. But if you're allowing them to speak by writing down the things that you are concerned about while they're talking, so that when they're done talking, you can then respond to all of the issues that they have, and trying to maintain mutual respect for one another by allowing the other person to finish what they have to say, and then requesting that they give you the same respect. You're not always going to get that same respect. You've seen it a couple times where I've had the fans on the show, like Mr. Tibbs, who's come up, and we would have open forum discussions. And when he was really passionate about the discussion, that's when he would spend more time trying to control the discussion by talking over me and not actually providing any factual information to the discussion, but just really talking over me. And you see a lot of the shorts on that, and you come to understand, like, dude is really not making a point. And that's one of the things that I try to remind him when we get on the show, is that in a debate or a discussion or even an argument, you're supposed to have a point. Your position is supposed to have a point. There is no right or wrong. There is no good or bad. It is just supposed to be a point of interest. because that is your opinion. And when you don't have a point of interest, you're just arguing for the sake of arguing. You're debating for the sake of debating, not to make a point. When I get on the show and I start talking about a topic or a discussion, my goal is to make it make sense. When I'm not on the show and I'm talking to somebody in my day-to-day operations, my goal is to make it make sense. One of the reasons why my goal is to make it make sense is because if I can make it make sense for me, then I can help you make it make sense for you. And then between the two of us, we end up being on the same page. Even if you don't agree what I have to say, we're actually still on the same page because you can understand why I am frustrated with what's going on, because your actions are not making sense to the objective. I don't have to agree with your decision-making process, but if you understand what my frustrations are behind your decision-making process, because your decision to not cooperate with the objective is not in line with uniform behavior that I am a big, big fan of, then at least you understand where I'm coming from. Now, you want me to understand where you're coming from. Fair enough. It is good for me to listen to what you have to say. I have to practice not talking over people and listening to what they have to say. And on the show, when I have guests come up onto the show, I give them the floor. But when I'm talking to people in real time, bro, if you're wrong, you're wrong. There isn't much room for you to talk. But I remember, yeah, I should probably let them talk. But after I give them a few minutes, and sometimes I give them just a few seconds to say what they have to say. If you're not captivating inside of 45 seconds, I'm like, okay, so you are explaining an excuse, and I am cutting that excuse to action doesn't make sense to objective, make action make sense for objective. And when I do that, that's when the self-realization that the shit doesn't make sense. Now, they don't have to agree with me, but once the conversation is over, they can take away from that conversation, whether they do anything about it or not, the notion that you could have done way less and I would have been way more satisfied, but you went the extra mile to not complete the objective. And if the objective was simple as making a phone call and you didn't complete that objective, even in the worst way, if the phone call would have been made, you met the objective. So if you avoided making the phone call and you didn't meet the objective, what excuses do you have when you're the person that's making the phone call? And in those scenarios, that's when people are able to say, well, oh shit, I have no reason why I didn't do it. I just didn't. Some people beat around the bush, though. Some people try to make excuses. They want to blame it on a third party. They want to blame it on the weather. My phone wasn't charged. Look, excuses are like assholes. Everyone's got them and they all stink. So at the end of the day, you cannot tell me a reasoning that validates why you fucked up. The only thing that we can do is recognize that you fucked up. Now, once we recognize that you fucked up, then we can start talking about what to do about that next time. But I'm always a problem solver. And as a problem solver, I always encourage the people that watch the show that when you have a discussion with somebody, whether you care about them or not, you analyze the issues. My issues, your issues. We discuss a viable and reasonable solution to those issues. There will be some sacrifices made if the issues are conflicting with one another, which means that some things I'm going to have to let go, and there's some things you're going to have to let go. But there is never an unconditional surrender where one side is going to be 100% satisfied and the other side is going to be 100% miserable. That's not balance. There's never the equal footing between two individuals is when they're both either equally satisfied or equally dissatisfied. How you doing, business pro? So if you're not equally satisfied or equally dissatisfied or reasonably satisfied and both reasonably dissatisfied, where you both feel like you didn't get enough out of the deal or you both felt like you got what you wanted out of the deal, if that's the case, that is a good deal. in either situation. But unconditional surrender, where only one side is getting everything that they're looking for so that the other side can say that the situation has been resolved, that's not uniform. That's not balanced. In relationships, when it doesn't matter if it's the man or the woman doing it, if an unconditional surrender from one party in a relationship is done for the favoritism of only one party in a relationship, it is not a uniform situation. And when you're dealing with the ability to compromise in an argument, the ability to rationalize in an argument, you have to be able to look at exactly how much stuff can you give up while still attaining all of the things that you're looking for, or most of the things that you're looking for. Like playing a game of spades. How can you play this hand and still have all spades at the end of the game? How many cards do you have to give away so that you can make all your books for this round? And that's a good way to think about it. But think about it like playing Uno. You hold all of your power cards until the end, so that you can wrap things up with a super omega overkill. But the thing is that when you're dealing with effective communication, effective communication is not just going to require you to be able to verbalize or express your concerns directly to the other person in a fashion where the other person will be able to say, you know what, that's right. That's gonna work for me. A lot of times it is just listening to the other person so that they have to get their feelings off of their chest. So venting is sometimes part of the discussion where the person expresses their disappointment and their lack of satisfaction in the scenario. And while listening to their venting, they will say their true core feelings, their true core concerns. They will be able to express to you their likes and dislikes. And then likewise, you would be able to analyze what they like and try to find ways to emphasize that while recognizing their dislikes and trying to avoid activating those dislikes. So listening doesn't just listen for the sake of mutual respect and for the sake of y'all taking turns in a discussion, but being able to effectively understand what the other party needs so that you can make a viable proposition that will benefit both sides. And if you're coming from, try the mentality like, I don't know if y'all remember this. When we were kids, it was siblings. And when we were kids, you would break the candy into two pieces. And then I would get to choose which piece I want. And in doing so, you're not going to break off a small corner and give it to the other person because the adult said share. The adult says, well, the person holding the candy breaks the candy in two pieces. They don't even tell you to break it in half. They say break it into two pieces, and then the other kid gets to pick. Now, since you know you don't want the other person to get more out of the deal than you are going to break it so far into the middle that when the other person comes and takes, it doesn't matter what half that they take, they're going to get the same amount that you're getting because you don't want them to get more than you. So you're not going to break this 2/3 of the way where this side is bigger than this side because the other person gets to pick. So if they want the bigger side, you get less. If you think about communication as an adult, it's the same fashion. You cannot put in a universal standpoint, you cannot put a scenario on the table then you are giving up. You cannot ask in a reasonable negotiation for someone else to take more sacrifices than you are. So the idea and the method of reasonable communication in an argument is to be able to listen to the needs of the other person so that you can break this disagreement in half and offer them half of a solution that benefits them where half of a solution that benefits you is still there. Because conditional surrender. Now, I understand that when we start talking about relationships and we start talking about the gender inequalities, we start talking about saying, hey, well, if you got to pay the cost to be the boss, and if you ain't paying the cost to be the boss, you just got to deal with the situation that you're in. I'm not going to tell you that. I'm going to tell you that you have an obligation to your partner. Men and women have an obligation to your partner. Yes, they're different drinks. You have an obligation to your partner, which is something that women are not taught in these modern times. And I understand that some of the ladies are not going to be okay with me saying things about women because, I mean, it's hard. Men are fixers, so men will recognize that they made a mistake, and if they so choose to fix it, they'll put all their effort into fixing it. Now, if they don't care that they're fucking up, then they'll fuck up all the time, and they'll do it with knowledge, and you'll tell them about it, and they'll be like, "Yeah, I know," and not care. But the guys that are really trying to do the best that they can, you would tell them that they're making a mistake, and they know that they're making a mistake because they caught the mistake before you caught the mistake. They just didn't rectify the situation before you caught the mistake, but they're in the process of trying to rectify it. So those are the guys that we're talking about that are comparable to the women that are not saying, you know what, let me figure out what I can do to make the situation better. We have women that have expectations. They get with a guy, the women have expectations. This guy may never have fulfilled those expectations, but she has these expectations. Eventually, if the guy doesn't meet those expectations soon enough, the girl leaves the guy. That's why 70 to 90% of women leave men. They're not trying to make it work. They're not trying to fix it and figure it out and make adjustments, mold it into what they want. Instead, it either is what they want or it's not what they want. And if it's not what they want, they walk away from it. So they'll observe it for a while, like a plant without water. And if the plant doesn't, thank you, Josh, I really appreciate it. PHK, I really appreciate it. If what they're looking for is not what they're getting, after a while, they'll just dip on it, even though they could have put a little bit of effort into it. That you're not going to get a relationship that's going to be perfect, and you're going to have to put work into it. The less you paid attention to in the beginning of the relationship, the more effort you're going to need to put into the relationship. I really appreciate you, John. The less effort that you put into the relationship in the beginning because of the honeymoon phase, because of the oh, we're in love phase, and all of the hot, passionate sex beginning of the relationship, that area is going to be the area where you should have been setting your foundational ground rules, your non-negotiable expectations for behavior. You should have been understanding each other's wants and needs and likes and dislikes and pet peeves so that y'all not pissing each other off halfway through the relationship. But you're not paying attention to none of that shit when y'all first hook up. Then 3 months down the line, when the honeymoon phase is over, you're used to the sex and everything like that. Now you guys are used to each other. Now that blind love thing, the blindfolds are off. Now you're doing shit that I don't like. Now I'm saying things that you don't like. Now I've got habits that you hate. Now you've got habits that I don't like. And it is hard 6 months into a relationship, 9 months into a relationship, to ask somebody to stop doing something that you have allowed them to do since the first date. Because defensively, the first thing that person is going to say is, well, you never had a problem with it before. We have to remember that if we start from the beginning with communication, you setting ground rules. For example, ladies are expressive physically. So when they're overly excited about something or, you know, overly emotional about something, they can hit a guy and it's okay. A guy can't key and smack a girl. You going to jail for that shit, bro. But a female can strike a guy. She can hit him in the arm. She can kick him. She can, you know, smack him in the face if she's upset with him. She can hit him in the back of the head, throw drinks in his face. Women can really, really physically abuse men. And it is socially okay for a woman to abuse a man. But a man cannot treat a woman the way women treat a man physically, because a man moves under the jail for that behavior. And I'm a man of uniformity. I feel like I can't put my hands on you. You can't put your hands on me. If I can't backslap you when I'm mad, you can't smack me in the face when you're mad. I can't Chris Brown you in the face. You can't be hitting on me neither. You got to understand that you're supposed to treat people the way you want to be treated. And that respect, because people say respect is earned, it's not given. That's not true. Respect is given, it's not earned. You earn higher levels of respect. You don't earn mutual respect. Mutual respect is afforded to you. You get that. That's like in advance. And then you just got to maintain it. And likewise, in a relationship, the positive behavior that you treat one another is an advance, but you got to maintain it. And if you're not maintaining it, your credit will run out. And that's when you're going to start having problems. You're going to start having arguments. You're going to start having your partners not satisfied with your behavior. You're going to have your spouse is not okay with your conduct, your absence, your presence, your lack of accountability, your lack of responsibility. And at some point, an intervention is going to have to occur. And Chantel, you'll notice that when a intervention has to occur, you got to go and approach this person and tell this person that after a certain period of time of them performing a certain quantity of behaviors that you don't like, you've got to deal with the undeniable bullshit that you saw coming, because they are not going to listen to what you have to say. They are going to argue you down about how they fucked up in your eyes. So look, there's an effective method to being able to get your point across. There's an effective method with being able to get the information out that you have things that you're unsatisfied with, and they have not met those satisfactory expectations. You have a par like golf, and they are not in line with par. They are not meeting those expectations. But see, you have to have realistic expectations. This is why I make it make sense. Because if I make it make sense, if I can explain it to you in a way where you can say that seems reasonable. Once you say that seems reasonable, my very next question to you is, well, why the fuck are you not doing it? Now, clearly, I'm not going to talk about it like that to them. I'm going to probably be a little bit more cordial and a little bit more respectful. I see you, Clips XF. I see you up in here jumping into the pod. We got guys coming in from YouTube, diving in onto the mark. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. When was that? 7 minutes ago. I was over on TikTok side looking at the comment section, because you got two comment sections, boys. Look, it's all right. We got you. We got you. I'll throw you into the short. How about that? I'll make a short. I'll throw you into the short. Click XS from YouTube side. We got guys coming in. I appreciate y'all. So the constructive dialogue that we need to be working on when we're dealing with having communication and really listening in arguments, that constructive dialogue. Ooh, the backlight. Hold on, y'all. That backlight cut. There we go. Sorry. The constructive criticism, not constructive criticism, the constructive dialogue. Because you've got criticism and then you got dialogue. I see that Riley emoji. We were just doing a Riley show a while back talking about the Riley theory. Should we rent them? Because it's transactional. Dating is transactional. So I'm glad that I see you pop up into the comment section, because we've been talking about that for a hot minute too. Since every engagement with a woman is transactional, should we rent them? Should we literally set the expectation and say this how much money you're going to get for this much positive behavior? We can talk about that in a second, but when we start talking about the constructive dialogue that you're looking at in a debate or an argument, what you're looking at is your ability to find a way to solve the other person's problem in the discussion. even though you're the one with the problem. And why do I say that? Because you may have a problem with the other person. 9 times out of 10, the other person's got a problem with you too. They just didn't say nothing. So many times have I heard that people misbehave out of spite because you pissing them off. And because certain people will misbehave out of spite, they will deliberately do pet peeves that piss you off out of spite because they're mad at you, frustrated at you, or disappointed in you. When you come to them with a problem, you are opening Pandora's box. Now, I've said before on the show, I've said, if this is intervention time and I'm coming to you and I'm telling you that I have a problem, that I have a concern that we need to address, then I'm going to address with you in this conversation only the issues that I'm having with you. And in a different conversation at a different time on probably a different day, if you got a problem with me, then you can come to me and I will give you my undivided attention. And I know this works because I've done it recently. But when I have a problem, if I'm talking to somebody, I know that they may have a problem with me, but I came to them with my problem. They didn't come to me with their problem. Whatever problem that they claim that they may have had to me, they sandbag it because what you're doing is you got a problem, you ain't saying nothing. If you think I'm fucking up, that you ain't coming to me and telling me about it. If you're in that kind of relationship, and then when you go to that person, you say, hey, I got a problem with your behavior. Oh, well, I got a problem with you too then. There is no and or then. If you had a problem with me, you had a problem with me. This ain't a situation where I'm going to tell you, oh, well, you didn't do what you were supposed to do in such and such situation, and you're going to come back and you wasn't where you were supposed to be. That's not what we doing, Miss Ma'am. That's not what we doing. And I know, fellas, y'all experience this a lot of times in relationships. When you start talking to your spouse about things that didn't go the way it was supposed to go, ladies, y'all know y'all been in situations where y'all was talking to a brother, y'all was trying to tell him what was going wrong, and he wasn't trying to hear it because he's talking about what you wasn't doing right. Fact is, we all experience it. And that's why I say, look, if we got complaints about both sides of the table, look, we're not going to redirect my concerns about your behavior with your concerns about my behavior. We're going to table your concerns about my behavior, and we're going to address my concerns with your behavior. And then if you really got some concerns about my behavior, after we resolve the concerns that I have with your behavior, you can then resolve concerns from my behavior. Exactly, from my short videos. You are right. Yes. That is exactly right. Echo Chamber, appreciate you coming through. So, the thing about it is, you have to be able to communicate with them and let them know what's going on, what the deal is. Now, some people are not going to listen. Some people are not going to care, and I understand that. If you're in that type of relationship where you got a partner that's not really giving a two shits about what's going on with you, then you got to drop that relationship. And you got to do it quicker, because the longer you're in a relationship where your partner doesn't care about you, the harder it is for you to emotionally detach from that relationship, and the longer you're going to allow yourself to be abused by the person who doesn't give a damn about you. So I strongly recommend that as soon as you start recognizing that they're not trying to fix shit, that you should probably back out of that one really quickly. But for the sake of those that it's just casual misunderstandings, honest mistakes, we understand that people make mistakes. I want to be able to say there is a way to address that. And this is why I told you earlier, if you're in a discussion where both of you guys have a problem, you fix their problem first. Why are you fixing their problem first? Because constructively, if you fucked up, but I'm going to fix your problem with me first, I'm gonna find a solution for your complaint. Now you don't have a complaint. Do you know what that helps you accomplish? Now they will shut the fuck up, and you'll be able to tell them what the fuck is wrong. And now they will be able to now decide, are they going to try to fix your complaint? Or are they just going to say, fuck you and your concerns and then walk away? You have to understand that you can't just assume that just because you aided them in their concern that they're going to do what you want them to do. But the leverage behind that action It's good faith action. Because if your objective was to fix their problem, so let's say, for example, let me give you a scenario so that you can kind of understand what I'm talking about. So let's say you got two people sharing the same car. One was supposed to drop off the other and then come back and pick them up. You didn't come back to pick them up on time. They were sitting out there 45 minutes to an hour. They were mad because you didn't come get them. You was at work late. You couldn't come get them. Now, you've got a situation where they take the car, they go to work. You need the car to go to work. Your argument is that the car is not there when you need to go to work. They've got a complaint that if you got the car, you don't come and get them when they get off from work. Solve their problem first. Solving your problem is you bring me to work and drop me off since you get off first. And then you come and get me from work since you're going to get off before I'm going to get off. And I'll wait the time that it takes to get picked up. Now, the problem, you solve their problem because now they're not looking for a ride. By solving their problem first, now they should not have a problem with solving your problem by making sure that you have a ride. Now, if they don't give a shit, I'll catch a cab. Well, your problem's still solved because now you've got the car and they're going to catch an Uber. They're going to get a lift. It's perfectly fine. Now, you could also solve your problem by saying, I'll pay for your lift. I'll drop you off work and then I'll pay for you to get a lift to go back if I'm not going to be able to pick you up on time. And then I'll text you the information to the lift so that the car will be there when you get off so that you don't got to wait and you'll be taken home. I'm still providing you with a solution because your problem was you didn't have a ride. You're providing me with a solution because my problem was you took my car. Working it out. If you're going to find ways to solve each other's problems, then you're actually showing the other person that you care about their issues. Not just their issues with you, you care about their issues. And that's what positive constructive listening is going to do, is that you're going to listen to what they have to say. No matter what it is, you listen to what they have to say. And then as you listen to what they have to say, their thought process isn't right or wrong. But you have to also understand that listening to what they have to say gives you the ability to help them solve their concerns. Now, when you are proactive about doing the things that they need to make them satisfied and make them happy, ladies, you have those relationships where men are going to go above and beyond for your satisfaction. Fellas, there's going to be less women that do this, but there's still going to be women that's going to be out there doing what it takes for your satisfaction. Since that is the case, you now have the ability to say, well, if my partner's going to go the extra mile for me, I'm going to go the extra mile for my partner. If my partner going to lay it out all on the line for me and make sure that I got what I need, I'm going to go the extra mile for my partner. But if you're in the type of relationship where that's not the case, where you are the person making all the sacrifices and your partner is not so much, that's when you really have to start rethinking your position and start asking yourself, should I really hang around in this relationship? But you don't walk away from the relationship without first communicating with your partner the fact that you feel like you are not being addressed, that your needs are not being met. And then after you've addressed that, you have to be able to communicate with your partner effectively about how to fix that. And then after you communicate with your partner about how to get that done, that is when you're able to communicate with your partner as a follow-up conversation, evaluating the progress. How many days, weeks, or months have passed when you still feel like nothing has changed? And this isn't a situation where you're going to be poking them in the back of the head, telling them that you're disappointed in them. This is a situation where you're going to talk to them about it at first. And then, depending on how long it takes for them to make the change, you're able to recognize when the change is observed. So, like, for example, if You need to shower first thing in the morning so that you can take a shower and go to work in the morning. You wake up, the shower's not being preoccupied by whoever else is in your household. You're able to say, hey, thanks for letting me take a shower before you got in there this morning. Or if they took it mad early in the morning so that it wouldn't interfere with your ability to get in there, you still had your hot water and whatnot. You know, thanks for making the bathroom available for me so I can be ready for work. That is acknowledging their effort in resolving your problem. You're dealing with somebody who uses your car a lot. They burn all the gas out of your car. You need the gas in your car so you can go to work. Now you're late for work because you got to spend 15 minutes out of your way at a gas station pumping gas in your car. When you got out of your car with a full tank of gas, got back in your car with the tank on E. You explain the problems and the complications to your partner about them leaving the tank on E. It doesn't matter whose money pays for it. They could take money out of your wallet and go to the gas station, put gas in the car. The fact is that you need gas in the car so when you get up in the morning, go to work, you're not late. They recognize that they're inconveniencing you by bringing the car back with no gas in it, and then they start putting gas in the car on the way in. They might not fill the tank up, but at least the tank ain't on E. So when you get in the car and you recognize that they brought the car back with gas in it, even though it wasn't as much gas as it was when you left it, you're able to come back and say, you know, hey, I appreciate you making sure there's still gas in the car so I didn't have to go to the gas station. You recognize the little things that they do, even if it's insignificant. You recognize the little things that your partner does so that you're able to let your partner know that they're important to you, that the things that they're attempting to do for your sake is valued. It doesn't matter how little it is. I can tell you it could be dirt, insignificant, small quantity activities that are the most meaningful. I'm serious. Take, for example, woke up, started making myself breakfast. Someone else comes in. I made enough for more than one person, but I'm greedy. I was going to eat it all myself. But I remember the last time I talked to that person told me, hey, when you go and make this for breakfast, make me some too. And it was like 3 or 4 weeks ago when we had that conversation. And I said, yeah, the next time that I make some, I'm going to make some for you too. So when I looked at the person when they came out and I looked at the food that I made, I looked back at the other person. I said, hey, do you want some? They're like, oh, you cooked. And I gave him half. Actually, I started off by giving him a third. And then I was like, you want more? And then I ended up giving him half because I thought about how my parents taught me from small. It's like you break it in half, you let them choose. And you want to make sure that you break it in half because if it's not half, then they're going to get the larger half. So I said, well, I'm going to give them the 2 bigger pieces. And so you understand what I was doing. I was doing pancakes, eggs, bacon and stuff. It was a small lunch, but it was like a Dwayne The Rock Johnson size, like 8 pancakes kind of thing. I was doing like a monster meal. But since I was giving half the pancakes away, I had threw some eggs on top of it, bacon and sausage and everything like that, toast and coffee. And that turned into something because since I was making a cup of coffee, the other person was like, hey, you make me some coffee too. So now I'm making coffee for everybody. But the fact of the matter is because I thought about the other person. That moment means a lot to the other person. Now, it didn't mean shit to me. I'm tired and I'm hungry. That's the only thing that mattered to me. But to the other person, I cook for them. So no matter how insignificant the situation is to you, the gesture is grand to someone else. So for them to tell you thank you for the shit that you did, that lets you know that they really appreciate what you've done. So when you're on the receiving end of somebody else's positive behavior, and it's positive because it is positively impacting you, you are able to acknowledge and recognize the things that they do. So if they take out the trash without you having to tell them, you appreciate that. If they clean something that they didn't have to clean, you appreciate that. If you're living with somebody that never makes a bed and one time you come in a room and the bed is made, you want to acknowledge that. If you got kids and the rooms ain't never clean and you come into the house and the one time the rooms is clean, you want to acknowledge that. You reward positive behavior with positive recognition. And I got to say it again because I know that the ladies, y'all are so used to criticizing men when they don't do right, but you are on autopilot when they're doing right. I'm going to say it again. You are supposed to nurture, and support and recognize positive behavior with positive recognition. You ignore negative behavior. You do interventions to put a stop to negative behavior, but you ignore negative behavior. You promote positive behavior. So you don't want to have your house full of chaos where you're arguing and fussing and fighting over every little thing that goes wrong. You should fill your house with praise for all of the positive things and every little intricate detail that goes right. You put positive atmosphere in your household when you are singing each other's praises all day long instead of insulting each other all day long. You are able to provide reinforced loyalty and dedication and trust into one another. When you are able to practice speaking highly of the other person, not only to their face, but behind their back. Because you never know when that person will walk up on you and hear what you got to say. And what you might have to say, it might not be very positive in the other person's eyes. But if you have a habit of always speaking positively about the other person will walk up to you singing their praises. The other person will show up and get a round of applause because you were pre-idolized before you walked up. It's a lot like the experience, like Jerry Springer and Joey, Murray Povich. You notice the difference between the guest that was positively promoted before he walks out onto the stage versus the guest that was negatively promoted when they walk out onto the stage. If somebody got something positive to say about you, you're the best person in the world, you're always good at what you do, you treat them so good, blah, 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 blah. Then when they walk out, round of applause from the fans. You get the person, oh, he ain't shit, he don't care about me, he don't like me, blah, blah, blah. Then when that person walks out, everybody's booing. One step away from throwing stuff on stage. You were able to tell the difference between how people talk about you while you're not in the room versus how people talk about you to your face. Because when you're in a situation where everybody is pleased to see you, that means they've had positive things to say about you before you got there. If they're disappointed when you walk through the door, then that means that somebody else has made sure that they're disappointed in you before you get there. And you have to understand that it is not always a situation where you can put your best foot forward and make friends. Sometimes you got to walk into a room full of enemies and turn that into a loyal army. And you have to overcome the negative history that was already bestowed upon you before you got there so that you can gain favor in a situation full of people that don't like you. That's the parts of being an adult, the ways of life. But your life should not be harder because the people that you got in your corner are not promoting you in a positive light. And you should not be promoting the people that matter to you in a negative light. Notice uniformity. I'm always talking uniformity. The expectations of one is the expectation of all. There is no exceptions. There is no situation where one person should be overly praised over another. There shouldn't be a situation where one person is entitled to more than another. Uniformity dictates that what one person has to do, everybody in that situation has to do the same thing. And if it ain't working that way, then you need to change the system that you're involved in. You need to rethink the position that you have gotten yourself involved in. Because not all the time are you going to have people that got your back. And when you do have people that's got your back, you've got to try to show support. See what I'm saying? And if you're able to show support, then you're able to get more support from the people that you support. And that is how you build a foundation of trust that is going to be magnified by a foundation of loyalty. And then you're going to reinforce that with dedication, devotion, and a sense of duty to one another. And believe it or not, you're actually establishing a positive version of a codependent relationship. And it's hard to understand and in some situations accept. But since men are looking for that partner, we're looking for that helper. We're not looking for somebody that we can have recreational sex with. We're looking for that partner. We're looking for that helper. And if we're not finding that partner or that helper, that is when we start dropping our standards and settling for less. And this is why I encourage you guys not to do that. Because if you do connect with somebody that is even lower than your base expectations, that's providing you with even less than your primal needs, then you're not satisfied. You're content, but you're not satisfied. And if you're in a relationship where you're not satisfied, you are going to leave that relationship a lot faster, whether you're cheating on your partner or just causing chaos so that y'all can take frequent breaks so that you don't got to be around this person for very long. Something's going to happen where y'all are going to split faster because you went into this with less than what you deserved or less than what you felt like you were entitled to. So I encourage everybody nowadays to pay attention to your non-negotiable expectations for behavior, and from the first date, start letting these expectations out. If you don't want them to talk back, you let them know that. If they are going to be outspoken, it's not going to work. If you want them to cooperate with you, they need to follow instructions. If they're not willing to follow instructions, it's not going to work out. If you're looking for somebody to take care of all of your standard where you don't have to provide anything in this situation and this person isn't willing to pay master his way through, you got to cut them off. Whatever your non-negotiable expectations are, you got to stand on those. But you also have to find out what the other person wants. Like the lady that we had on the show a month or so ago that dated a guy. He told her on the second date he wanted children. She dated this guy for 2 more years. He bought her a house. They were about to get married. Now he's telling her, all right, let's have kids. She's like, oh, he dropped it out of the blue. No, man. He told you 2 years ago that he wanted children. And if he stayed in a relationship with you, then that means that for 2 years he's wanted children with you. You just didn't want to give it to him. And now that he's telling you that basically no ultimatum is there, that we're getting children now, we're getting married, we're buying a big enough house where all the kids have their own bedrooms. The children is a thing. I told you that from the gate. When you got with me, it was a pop-out children's option, obligation. There was no option there. This isn't a situation where you can upgrade to having babies. It was like, no, we was establishing a scenario that babies was coming from. So if you're getting involved in this scenario, you're getting involved with babies. You don't want babies, you don't get involved. So if she was paying attention to the needs of the man in that second date, when he said he wanted children and she said she didn't want children, when she understood that she didn't want children, you're not supposed to talk the man out of it. You're not supposed to negotiate and manipulate the man into settling for less than what he desired. You're supposed to either ask yourself, are you capable of giving him what he needs or not? And if the answer is nah, then you're supposed to keep it stepping. You're supposed to pay your half of the check and crip walk your ass on up out this goddamn building. Why is you up in here using the man for 2 years when you knew on date 2 that you had interests that did not align with his? And in a lot of relationships, we have this problem. People hook up. It doesn't matter if it's a guy or a girl, where one person has interest that does not align with the other person's interest, and yet you stay in this relationship. I'm not saying that y'all got to be exactly the same, because opposites attract and similarities are familiar. But when you think about similarities being familiar, here's one thing that I want to tell you, because and we'll make short about this here today too. You cannot find fault in someone else that you have not recognized in yourself. So when it comes down to creative communication, constructive communication, in order for you to make changes for yourself in this relationship, You have to recognize that you yourself have to make the same changes for your partner in this same relationship, so that while they're changing to keep you happy, you are also changing to keep them happy. Uniformity. I know y'all heard me say it 30 times last week on Monday. Yeah, we're going that route. If you put your partner first and you do what your partner needs done, the same way your partner puts you first and your partner's doing what you need done, y'all gonna be all right. Y'all not gonna have that many problems. And it doesn't mean y'all not gonna fight. It doesn't mean that y'all are not gonna have disagreements. But y'all will be able to work those disagreements out. Y'all will be able to come to compromise. It'll be more good days and bad days. It'll be more happy months and happy years than there are bad days. But if you are not interested in doing what is needed to be done to keep your partner happy, then you might have 3 good days out of the month. You might have good months out of the year. But the rest of your relationship is shit. And the guys will stay in a shitty, toxic relationship for the sake of making it work, like driving a car with no fuel pump cross country. It ain't working for you, bro. Don't matter if you get out and push. This shit is not going to drive where you want it to drive in the condition that it's in. And you're not going to get out of this relationship what you need to get out of this relationship in the situation that it's in. You have to fix something. So if you put the extra effort that you need to put into this relationship and your partner puts the extra effort into the same relationship, y'all will be able to fix all of the lightest problems before they become the most difficult problems, so that you guys won't say things that you don't mean, or in some situations say things that you do mean, that catastrophically damages the relationship, like removing an organ improperly where you can't replace it, you can't fix it, there's no going back, and now you just have to let the relationship die because you didn't take good care of it. Got to take good care of it. Can't treat it like a pet rock. Your relationship is about as alive as you are. And if you don't nurture your relationship and take care of your relationship like an infant, then your relationship is not going to survive. If you don't value your relationship the way you want to be valued in your relationship, then your relationship will not succeed. And it doesn't matter how egotistical you are. You can think that you the she's knit. You could be the best thing since sliced bread. If you that damn good, then that means your partner should be just that much better, because you don't settle for less, which means that if you're a 10, your partner is an 11, and that means that you should value your partner as much as you expect your partner to value you. And if your partner is not valuing you the way you are valuing your partner, you need to rethink your position. First, do an intervention, and then you're going to have to start doing some cuts. You're going to have to start doing some drafts. You're going to have to start doing some trades, because this situation ain't going to work. You're not playing on my team if you're not playing for my team. You understand? You're not going to wear the jersey if you're not going to play the game. You're not going to, if you're not getting me points, you're not going with us. You're not going to go cross country with us. I'm not giving you no free tour, and you're not willing to put out to earn it. And I ain't talking about sex. I'm talking about effort. Effort. That's what we're looking for. Effort. And it ain't no it's a thought that counts where half-assed and it's going to get you by. You must succeed. Almost don't count. Brandy said that back in the 90s. You're not going to get me with no, well, I tried. You either succeeded, bitch, or you didn't. And if you didn't succeed, then bitch, you ain't do enough, because I know that if I was doing it, I would have succeeded. And I'm not going to stop trying until I succeeded, which means that you should do the same. Well, that's all I have for y'all for this afternoon. I really appreciate y'all coming to this and that and everything in between. How you doing, Poppy? We always talking about this, that, and everything in between. Marcos, is good for you to jump in towards the end of the show. We are here live every night of the week, 9 Eastern, 8 Central, and 5 Pacific. I want you guys to keep hitting that like button, keep hitting that subscribe button, join our membership on the YouTube platform, pick up some of our this and that merchandise. I'm going to be picking up some of our this and that merchandise. That way you can be like, dang, he got it like that. Yes, we do got it like that. That's exactly where we're going to go with that. But in the meantime, I want you guys to just check out our platform, look at some of our videos, see what we got going on, because we got different topics every day of the week. Well, we got relationship-based topics during the weekend, but we have different topics Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. We're doing real estate and finance and business this week, and we should be doing more business and probably politics and some other stuff next week. So we typically tiptoe around each niche. We're going to be doing technology and stuff coming soon. So trying to throw, it's hard to get breaking news up there when I've got a 30-day calendar already posted, but take a look at what we got. And we got some highlights from some of the past shows. So you'll be able to enjoy yourselves until the next show airs. But I strongly recommend that you guys make it a habit to show up and make it make sense. And if you guys have any topics that you would like to talk about that I haven't talked about on the show or haven't talked about on it recently on the show, we will go ahead and make a show about it. I read all of the comments and respond to all of the comments of the fans right now until they become more comments than I can handle. And I can tell you that if a fan gives me a comment that I like to see, whether it's controversial or not, I don't have to agree with it. I just have to like the train of thought, like they really put some thought into their opinion. I'll make a short out of it. I'll bring it up onto the show live. I'll put it in the little window and have it scrolling across the screen or something. You know, I'll address your comments and concerns. So I strongly recommend that if there's a direction that you want to see us go, you go ahead and let us know. Well, with that being said, I'm going to wrap it up by saying the same thing I tell you ladies every day of the week. Ladies, as long as the situation doesn't make sense, please, ladies, make it make sense. So I'm going to go ahead and sign out of TikTok for early. And for the rest of you guys, I appreciate y'all coming on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter. I appreciate you guys coming, showing us love. It has been a blast to have y'all here today. Clips SF, I appreciate you coming in. You always do a good job of coming in and making us laugh. One day we'll have you, as long as you're over the age of 18, to jump in onto the podcast and give you shout outs, as long as they're appropriate. So as I wrap things up, I'm hopefully going to be able to see you guys tomorrow. I really appreciate y'all coming to this and that. I'm your host, Sander, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. And the rest of y'all have a